Okay, so you're gonna need Easy Off, steel wool, and a Pumi stick, and also a white and a yellow for an oven cleaning. And since we don't always do oven cleanings, there should be a step-by-step how-to sheet on how to do an oven cleaning in each binder as well, as seen right here. All right, so step one is taking the racks out and setting those aside so that you can spray the whole inside of the oven first. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just gonna take these and just pop them up on the top of the oven. And then, oh my Lord, you guys, look at how bad my oven is. Okay, I had a ribs liquid explosion in this oven, and yes, this is embarrassing, okay, but this is gonna make for like the best training video ever, right? So yeah, this happened, you know. I'm gonna take an extra step before I get to like the normal steps on the sheet, just to take out all the crap in here. Okay, so I didn't have a plastic scraper on me, right? I forgot that. So I'm using a spatula. Anyways, you would want to use a plastic scraper, loosen up all of this stuff. It comes up super easy. And then we're going to go ahead and vacuum this sucker. Just kidding. I'm going to put gloves on and I'm going to try and like scoop up all those big chunks and throw them away before I do the vacuuming step. Okay, now we're going to vacuum. So I'm going to vacuum all this chunkage up. It's just gonna make cleaning the oven that much simpler. So if you ever see one this bad, now you know what to do. And then after I do this, we're gonna start with step 2.
Step 2. Cover your nose either with your sweatshirt, like this, or with a white terry cloth folded up over your nose so you don't inhale that stuff, girl. It's not good. Okay, and then spray the sides, the back wall, and the bottom of the oven. Skip the ceiling. We don't do the ceiling, girl. Be very generous with the Easy Off. You need a lot.
All right, my fail here because I did not realize the camera was not getting the angle it needed to get. But I'm thoroughly coating, okay, the sides, the back, and I'm being very generous with this, and hopefully it will show the bottom really well because, yeah, there we go. There we go, girl. Yeah, because I totally just, you know, messed that camera angle up, and you can't go back once you've already done it, especially if you did not realize you were doing it. The bottom's going to need a lot of attention here, so you literally see how much I'm coating it. Just use that stuff, girl. Use it. The more you use it, the easier it's going to make your life when it comes to scrubbing it off.
Step 3. Take racks and set them back in oven diagonally stacked on top of each other so they are resting at the bottom of the oven and not in their normal spots.
And then step 4, you shall spray them.
Oh, I don't know what I was thinking when I was filming this. Alright, so yeah, here's another continuation. I'm spraying the racks. So note how I've got the white terry cloth over my nose because I don't want to breathe that stuff in, but I'm spraying them. I'm being super thorough. You don't have to lift up and get the other one underneath. Trust me, there is enough that's saturating both of those racks. Alright, and then to finish up the spraying, we're just going to do the door last. So my mouth is still covered, my nose is still covered with that terry cloth. You just can't see it. And then I'm just spraying the doors super thoroughly, and then you slam that sucker shut. I'm just playing, don't slam it, just close it normal. Alright, after that's been sitting for a solid 10 to 15 minutes, then you're gonna come and get your water ready. So I'm plugging the sink, I'm doing super hot water, the hottest I can stand, and then Dawn dish soap. Generally, yeah, you're gonna use the Blue Dawn. I just only had this tropical weird kind at my house, so that's what I'm using. But I don't know, maybe fill the sink like a quarter of the way up. You want the water to be pretty soapy, and then you are set to go.
Now it is time to get out the fun
tools. So you're gonna need your steel wool and your Pumi stick, girl. And a little side note before we begin, do you see this like drippage line right in the middle here? So the last time I cleaned this oven, I got too much water on the door when I was scrubbing that, and it went between the glass, and it went basically in between the glass and the inside of the oven, and it dripped on the inside part of the glass. You don't want to do that. It is a huge B, because you have to take the oven door apart in order to wipe that up and fix it. So I'm gonna give you some advice for this. And my advice is, when you do the door, because you're gonna scrub that first, and here's like a close-up of that, make sure you wring out that steel wool super good so it's not dripping at all, because yeah, you want it to be wet so that you can work the product around, but at the same time, you don't want there to be so much that it's like sitting water on top of that glass, because it will find a way between the door and it will get in there, cause drips, we will get complaints, and probably my husband will have to go over there and take their oven door apart and fix it, and that will not be good. So just make sure you wring it out super good and then scrub. I pulled it back on the camera here so you could just see the whole door, because I'm making sure that I get everything except that white strip, like that white fabric strip all the way around. I burned the H out of mine, and that's not going to come out. So anywhere where that's burnt, that's just done. But the glass, you can use the steel wool on. The whole other part of the metal door, you can use it on. So I'm just going to continue to scrub the dowel here. And then once I've scrubbed the door, then I'm going to take my wrung out yellow that I got wet, and then I wrung it out, and then I'm just going to wipe everything up, wipe all the product up, and then take a look and make sure that I got the glass and all of the black spots off the other parts of the door.
And now it is time to scrub some racks.
Okay, and then you're going to set the rack on the oven door. I don't really want to scrub it anywhere else just because it's got oven cleaner on it, and that stuff is super abrasive. And I also didn't want to set it on a sloppy oven door and risk getting product everywhere. So that's why I do the door first, and then I set the racks down. And then you're just going to wrap the steel wool around all of those rungs and just work each of them up and down. This stuff should come off super easy. You shouldn't be having to put a whole lot of elbow grease in it, because that product should be doing all the work for you. Alright, here's a pulled back view of the whole thing. So I really just wrap that steel wool around the edges too, and I go all the way around the edging of the rack, and then just get all the other rungs in between it. And then I make sure that I do, all of the outside edges of the racks too. You are probably going to notice that there might be some spots on each rack that don't come perfectly clean and don't look brand new again after you clean them. For some reason, the racks get the most stained, and there were some spots that I scrubbed twice and I still couldn't get the stuff off of them. So just scrub them once thoroughly, and that is good enough. And then you're just going to take your rinsed out, wrung out yellow, and you're going to wipe the whole rack down so that it's totally clean and free of any of that nasty brown oven juice that you just scrubbed off of it. Alright, and then once it's totally cleaned off, you're just going to set the clean rack on the top of the oven and move on to the next one. One note here too, I do squeeze out that steel wool super good so that it's not dripping a bunch on the door as well, just for the same water factor. You don't want it dripping underneath that glass. And then just give the oven door a quick wiping, because then you're going to start on the inside of it and you don't want to be leaning on that oven juice, girl. Alright, and then I'm going to take my steel wool, and I did get it a little bit more wet and soapy than I would for the door part, just because I don't have to worry about spilling on any glass. And then I'm just going to scrub. I'm going to use the same amount of pressure I would use scrubbing a shower that we clean bi-weekly. So it's not like you're using very heavy pressure or a lot of elbow grease. The amount of product that you sprayed on this oven should have done all the work for you. So you're really just working the product in, removing all those black spots, and just making sure that you're being really thorough about where you're scrubbing. And then I rinsed my steel wool just to get like fresh soap and water on there, and I went for the back. I know this is a squeeze and it's kind of awkward because you're having to reach all the way back there as far as you can to scrub. That's kind of one of the reasons why we don't do the ceilings, because what an awkward angle, and that would probably really hurt your neck. So usually I do half of the oven and then I go to the other side to do the other half of the back. And then I must not have needed to rinse, so I just went straight into the other side wall. Okay, and then it's time to rinse it. So I do both of the sides on the back. I'm going to rinse out my yellow and wring it out, and then usually I end up having to wipe it down like 2 times just to remove all of the product and everything on there, because if you don't, it's going to dry like all milky, weird, white colored. And a lot of times I do use a white on the oven afterwards just to kind of buff any of that out once I'm fully done.
Now here comes the juicy part. Yes, the sausage and sauerkraut part is the best.
The first little quick thing that I do is I'm going to use the steel wool on this element part just because it has a lot of oven cleaner on it, and I'm going to get it all cleaned off. And then when I start cleaning that bottom part, I'm going to lift up that element, and you just kind of got to hold it up in some parts. And this part's going to be gross. I know it. You're probably going to want to rinse that steel wool, or have the urge to. Don't do it, girl. Just scrub the whole thing on the bottom first and then go through and rinse it and probably wipe everything out. You're going to see what I'm going to do here. I'm going to scrub the crap out of it and hope for the best once I rinse it, you know? Usually, no matter what, you're going to have some black spots at the bottom that aren't going to come off with this step, and that is what the Pumi Stick is for, so don't fret, we're going to get to that part. And now for the satisfying part. Oh my gosh, look at all of that. So you're going to use your yellow, obviously, and wipe everything you can from the bottom. You might have to do this twice to get it all. Depending on, you know, how much water you have sitting at the bottom, but look at how clean that is. And then we're just gonna go back over it with a Pumi Stick and you'll be good to go. Behold. Okay, little tip. I do this part right here and I get a little puddle of water to work with because the Pumi Stick needs to be wet in order for it to work properly. So you're gonna dip it in the water and then you're just going to put some good pressure on it and start working it back and forth on any black spots that you see. This tool is absolute magic. You just see it take away months and months of burnt on disgustingness. All right, and then once you think you've gotten all the black spots removed, go ahead and do another wipe and then look at the bottom and the sides and all that. You're probably still gonna have some residual spots here and there that you're gonna wanna touch up. And then you're going to wipe it again, and then you're going to buff it dry with a wipe, and you are done. And don't forget to pop the racks back in. If you can't remember what level they were at, I mean, just guess. Usually one's low, and then usually one's toward the center. And there she is, folks, in all her glory. How beautiful.
Oh, I'm so impressed. Looks great.